if we look at, what you need to even solve these kind of technical support problems, well, first you need to be able to connect all these sources. That's a given because the knowledge is somewhere within all these sources about how to resolve these issues and troubleshoot them. But the other thing you need is a lot of good context about what is real with the product right now. What is real versus what is not supported anymore or old kind of knowledge. What is the customer entitled to? So if you have like 10 products and the customer is entitled to only 2, then these are the ones that are relevant to talk about and the rest are not actually relevant. What is the customer's journey? Maybe they already tried a few things. And there's nothing more annoying in technical support than the customer spending a lot of time trying a lot of things and the technical support organization not knowing about that and suggesting that again and again and again, right? And we all kind of witness that when they're trying to solve these harder problems. The other thing is human expertise. If you think about who knows what, well, when you have 20 products, you can't have one engineer, a super engineer knowing how to solve everything all the time. So you start having human expertise. So you expect a vendor that helps you to be able to know who knows what about which parts of the product. And then for each ticket, because these tickets are very complex, they're pretty long, they involve a lot of troubleshooting, you want to be able to transfer a lot of the information in the tickets into business signals. For instance, what is the sentiment? Is the customer losing patience? What is the category? Because you want to then aggregate the categories and see what are the categories actually repeating that R&D needs to work on. And more kind of signals related to the business. So, and then if we look at kind of the life cycle of a single ticket in technical support, there's not like one automation that happens in self-service. Like this is a classical case in which, SSO login keeps failing and I upgraded a version, something where the configuration is now off. We see that all the time, right? And so there's multiple steps in order for technical support to actually provide value and streamline the technical support. So first is obviously self-service. So you want to be able to provide the end user, whether it's in the product itself or in the help center, ways to kind of try to see what is the troubleshooting steps, what's going on, and what can I do myself. That's an obvious. And you want to connect that to all the different knowledge that is public, but also what are the different products. You want to be very product aware when you do that for technical support. We find that many technical support organizations have a ticket submission flow. And that is typically a form in which you can submit a ticket, but you also need to tell the technical support team what is your problem, but also what products, what version, give me kind of a log dump and give me kind of a print screens, because they need to be equipped to be able to solve this. What we find is this is a good place to have AI try to have a first step in resolving it because it's very measurable. Case submission forms is end user or customer having an intent to submit a case. And then if you're able to resolve it, that's an obvious resolution to be counted. So it's also extremely measurable. And we find that many of the technical support organizations, most of the tickets are coming in through these forms. So adding AI there is a good place to start. Then you want automations. But again, automations would not resolve 70 to 90% of these cases. They're hard troubleshooting. What automations could do here, they can actually be a good first step to try to collect missing information. Sometimes the customer forgot to put a print screen for this specific product, or this specific product needs more log files or needs some extra information about the version or whatever you're using, configuration, etc. And so this is a good place to have some automation after the ticket submission to kind of collect the missing information before it goes to the support engineer. Then next steps is typically triage. Interesting thing about technical support is triage is actually very important. If you have a small team, then maybe you can have people being able to handle every case. But when you have a bigger team, you start having people specialize in certain areas of the product. So understanding what is the human expertise and who knows what about which problem is actually essential to doing very smart triage with AI and trying to understand who is the best person to send this case to. Rep Assistant is actually very interesting. One thing we see with the technical support engineers is that they have three open screens. One is the ticketing system, the other is the product, because they're trying to recreate and replicate the problem that the end user had in their environment with that. And then a third one would be something with R&D, like Jira and Confluence, so that they can talk to R&D about this problem as well. And that's a good opportunity to streamline, not just in terms of knowledge, but also next best actions, like sending a Jira ticket, filling it up, etc. But also being able to stimulate and actually analyze the log files coming in. We find that many of the technical support teams spend a lot of time working on these, and you can actually today streamline it with AI. You can spin off a VM, a virtual machine, that actually looks at the log files, analyzes them, and tries to spit out what is the diagnostics of what happened to the customer. So that's kind of something that teams with technical support miss, that this can be really, really streamlined. Is that something in Mosaic that we're putting a lot of focus in, because teams are spending a lot of time with log file analysis. Then there's kind of steps after the ticket is kind of being processed. One is with escalations. If there's low sentiment, high SCV for the ticket or the case. And if this case is more repeating and suddenly we have an emergent of the same case, you want to escalate that to managers to be able to handle that. Then knowledge. If there's a repeating problem or an issue, but that is missing a knowledge because the product is evolving so fast, you want AI to come in and to create that knowledge piece automatically, as it sees more and more cases accumulating to a bigger and bigger, let's call it, cluster of cases. You want to also be able to analyze repeating issues. That's for R&D. Again, technical support is very close to R&D, and they always want to talk to R&D about what are the repeating issues, and you want to streamline that with AI, because today it's very manual to go over all the cases. And also rep quality assurance. Very, very technical and product oriented in these orgs. Obviously, you need to have good human skills, but you also want to test for product proficiency. And this can also be streamlined with AI. So I described 9 different steps, and that's because technical support is not an easy problem. If you want to streamline it with AI, you want to go with a platform that is able to solve for each one of the steps you see now on the screen and try to help you with each one of them. Because each one of them would contribute 5 to 10% in kind of cost efficiency, but all of them together can accumulate to something much bigger. You can get efficiencies of 20 to 30 to 40% in your support organizations. And technical support organizations are typically, because they're technical engineers and very long tickets, typically a little bit more expensive. So you want to be able to streamline that with AI.